families and cut the deficit. And I would add, nobody making less than you're tired of hearing me say it, but no one making less than $400,000 a year will pay a single penny more in federal taxes. As I've said in the past, I'm a capitalist. I have no problem with people making as much money as they are capable of making. But I'm asking you one simple question: just pay your fair share. Pay your fair share, that's all. That's it. Just your fair share. And no one can argue that 20% for a billionaire is unfair. Here's what this adds up to. We're going to continue to create jobs, bring down the cost for families, and rein in deficits left by my predecessor. All important steps in to continue our historic progress to build a better America. I said from the outset, we're the only country in the world that comes out of crises stronger than we went into them. That's what we're doing here. I want to thank you all for showing up today, and we'll have plenty of time to answer questions about other items other than the jobs report next week. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So what about inflation? What about inflation outpacing wages, Mr. President?
Contraception. This is extreme and dangerous path the court is now taking us on. Let me close with 2 points. First, I call on everyone, no matter how deeply they care about this decision, to keep all protests peaceful. Peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. No intimidation. Violence is never acceptable. Threats and intimidation are not speech. We must stand against violence in any form, regardless of your rationale. Second, I know so many of us are frustrated and disillusioned that the court has taken something away that's so fundamental. I know so many women are now going to face incredibly difficult situations. I hear you. I support you. I stand with you. The consequences and the consensus of the American people, core principles of equality, liberty, dignity, and the stability of the rule of law demand that Roe should not have been overturned. With this decision, the conservative majority of the Supreme Court shows how extreme it is, how far removed they are from the majority of this country. They've made the United States an outlier among developed nations in the world. But this decision must not be the final word. My administration will use all of its appropriate lawful powers, but Congress must act. And with your vote, you can act. You can have the final word. This is not over. Thank you very much. More to say this in weeks to come. Thank you. And so thank you again, Pedro, for your friendship and your close partnership. And we had a good discussion today, and I'm looking forward to continued good discussions in the remainder of this conference. But thank you for your hospitality.
Thank you.
It's unmatched. Speak to one other issue. Let me speak to one other issue, the GDP, and whether or not we are in a recession. Both Chairman Powell and many of the significant banking personnel and economists say we're not in a recession. But let me just give you what the facts are in terms of the state of the economy. Number one, we have a record job market of record unemployment of 3.6% today. We've created 9 million new jobs so far, just since I became president. Businesses are investing in America at record rates, Foreign business like SK and others are investing in America, hundreds of millions and trillions of dollars, sum total. $100 billion in semiconductor investments already announced by Intel, Samsung, and Texas Instruments. more than $100 billion in electric vehicle battery investments by Ford, General Motors, Hyundai, Tesla, and more. And just last week, as I said, SK Corporation of the Republic of Korea announced $22 billion in new investment in semiconductor batteries, chargers, and medical devices, creating another 16,000 jobs here in America. And this is powering the strongest rebound in American manufacturing in over 3 decades, creating 613,000 manufacturing jobs. Passing the CHIPS bill is going to put another $72 billion for incentives and tax credits to expand semiconductor production. And the Inflation Reduction Act will add another $370 billion in clean energy tax credits in reconciliation, including incentives to accelerate domestic production of solar panels, wind turbines, batteries, and critical materials processing. That doesn't sound like a recession to me. Thank you very much. And I have to be, I've been in close touch with our allies. We're announcing new sanctions today as well, that including new authorities to sanction anyone who provides political or economic support to Russia's fraudulent territorial claims. And I've been in close touch with our NATO allies who are united in our resolve to take on his aggression. So I thank you all very much. You also asked me earlier about the pipeline, and let me say this. It was a deliberate act of sabotage, and now the Russians are pumping out disinformation and lies. We're going to work with our allies to get to the bottom of exactly precisely what happened. And at my direction, I've already begun to help our allies enhance the protection of this critical infrastructure. And at the appropriate moment when things calm down, we're going to be sending divers down to find out exactly what happened. We don't know that yet exactly, but we're not, just don't listen to what Putin is saying. What he's saying we know is not true. Thank you all so very much. There's a lot going on that we're doing, and it adds up. And what I'm going to be coming back to you with is an example. I don't know if I'm going to do it from a podium or a release, but take an average family who's going to go visit their mother or father for Thanksgiving. What's the charge? Or they're going to come home from school? I mean, there's a lot of money. These are billions of dollars. It doesn't add up to billions for the individual, but adds up to $200, $300, $400 for average families. And I'm not being solicitous here. I say to the press here, a lot of you come from backgrounds like I came from. We're not poor, just regular folks. But that matters. It matters in their life. And by the way, I'm going to be working very hard to make sure that oil companies pass on the reduction in the price of a barrel of oil to the pump. So anyway, I'm optimistic. It's going to take some time. And I appreciate the frustration of the American people.
Can everyone remain seated while we wait? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. President, we need everyone to remain seated.
We need to work on what could be into a peace agreement, but it is for him to tell us when the time comes and what the choices of the Ukrainians are. So once this has been said, indeed, I will continue to talk to President Putin. And as a matter of fact, we talked about it this morning with President Biden, because we constantly as well try to prevent escalation and to get some very concrete results. So I will talk to him about security and safety of nuclear plants in the areas that are being claimed, including Zaporizhzhia in particular. And over the past few months, we did some work on the Chernobyl nuclear plant. And there is some outstanding work ongoing, which is very important by Mr. Grossi and his agency, the IAEA. So we will continue. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, please remain in your seats until the official delegations have departed.
Thank you, folks. All right.
Sir, you have a message to the protesters in China you put better on.
And our plan is to build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, and it's working. It's working. As I said, my dad used to say, paycheck's a lot more than, it's about your dignity. It's about your place in the community. It's about everything you've worked for. The fact is that we're in a situation that's about defining a dignified retirement and in a home and a community you worked in and lived in and not have to leave. So thanks to today's announcement, hundreds of thousands of Americans can feel that sense of dignity again, knowing that they're provided for their families in the future and that it's secure. Oh, God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Please move towards the doors.
Mr. President, what you guys are
Please move this way.
Mr. President,
Thank you very much. Please move this way. Please move this way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.